Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/JustNoMil. In today's episode, I finally called Mael out for breaching privacy. She tells me she's telling the rest of the family. JustNoMil is trying to show up to LO birthday party. FMIL went from 0 to 1000 out of the blue. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. I finally called Mael out for breaching privacy. She tells me she's telling the rest of the family. A little backstory. Mil is still chummy with SO's ex, and we have had a problem with Mil disclosing private things about us to the ex in the past. So called Mael out on it a while ago, and she swears she stopped doing it. So has a daughter with ex, and she also shares way too much info with the ex. We've also spoken to her about it. Earlier this week I get a text from Mael asking me something, and I immediately knew where she had heard it, not from the kiddo, but it was obvious she had just spoken with the ex, as my so received a text from the ex around the exact same time about the exact same topic. So called Mil and explained very calmly why he was upset. Mil and the ex were talking about a medical emergency my so had, so he understandably felt like his privacy was violated. Mil claimed again she didn't talk about us to the ex, and was pissed after the convo, saying so bad, talked down to her, he didn't at all. Well, lo and behold, guess who lied to us about not talking to the ex, particularly about the medical emergency? I couldn't take it anymore, so I called Mil out on it, called her a liar, and told her basically to keep the people in our household's names out of her mouth when talking to anyone else. I was polite but firm. I have been putting up with this sh*t for 3 years, so it's amazing I was level-headed about it. And I explained to her that this is why we don't tell her anything anymore. My so calmly backed me up to Mil. Her response: she's telling the family about our dust up, as she calls it, because they need to know why she won't be speaking to us. Further proving our point that she can't be trusted. I seriously don't get how she doesn't see anything wrong with her behavior. It is comical at this point. Did I overreact? So you confronted her about oversharing your private business to ex, which she denies, and then proceeds to overshare your private business to family? I hope you can just laugh at how ridiculous that is. I wouldn't be sharing anything with her again either. Yes, it is absurd, right? I couldn't believe she didn't see her own hypocrisy in that exchange. We don't want you gossiping about us to other people. I would never do that. How dare you even suggest it? Okay, but we have proof you're doing it. I'm going to tell everyone about how you accused me of telling everyone about you. You didn't overreact. She's being ridiculous. The old narcissistic deflection. You talk down to me, sometimes known as, I don't like your tone. Great way to shift the focus from what you said to how you said it, thereby avoiding the topic of her mistake. She's not stupid, she's a master manipulator. That, coupled with the other narc tactic of running around telling everyone her version of events first in hopes of controlling the narrative. Don't be afraid to go around correcting the narrative, otherwise she will continue to do this to build a case against you within the family. It seems like your Mil is being told too much information. I completely agree that she has no business sharing this type of information with anyone, let alone your husband's ex, but she couldn't share anything if she didn't know anything. You didn't overreact, but I wouldn't spend too much time worrying about the tale she's going to spin about your dust up. She's likely to end up with folks thinking, I can see why her son dislikes her. She is always the victim in every story. So, guessing she loves the ex and didn't approve of the divorce? Weirder than that. X cheated on So and left him and her daughter. But Mil still spends more time and energy on her relationship with the X than her relationship with So, which is sad. It kills him. Tells him he needs to forgive and forget what X did. I think it is because Mil also cheated on So's dad and forced everyone to get over it and forgive her. You didn't overreact. This woman clearly is empty inside since she cannot survive one moment with gossiping. Unless they are like her, I can't imagine anyone who hears this story would take her side. And if they are like her, you know not to trust them either now. The best thing you can do is cut her off from all information you don't want the general public to know, so you are doing the right thing. It is sad, but she prefers the temporary high she gets from gossiping over anything real. Oh, no, you did not overreact. In fact, I'd be going VLC with her right about now. This can't be good for his daughter. Sounds like both the X and the JNMIL are real pieces of work. JustNoMil is trying to show up to LO birthday party. I'm not sure what to do, read previous posts for context, but short story is we've gone NC with my JNMOM. Unfortunately, she already knew the date of the party. We decided to keep it and hoped she wouldn't show, had decided that if she did we would kick her out, and we already have PPL ready to do that, however. My sister just informed me that JNMOM is asking about the party and LO, even trying to get her hands on the invite. She's also trying to take that day off work, leading me to believe she's intending on showing up. Should I send a preemptive text and make it clear she is not invited and will be removed if she shows? Just remind her that we're NC and is not invited? Or wait and see and proceed with plan B in case she shows, which is having her removed from party if she shows? I'm honestly not stressing about it, I just don't know what I should do and figured advice would help. NC means no contact, do not break it to warn her. Let her know through your sister she's not invited and police will be called, or you have people who will throw her out if she shows up, but do not contact her directly. This. Tell your sister that mom will be removed immediately if she's showing up. This right here. It's the best of all worlds. You don't break contact and she gets warned. If you text her, you're showing her that she can make you break NC, which will lead to more antics. Let her learn the hard way. Have your backup plan, emotionally prepare as best you can, and have your party as planned. Good point about OP breaking no contact. Honestly, I think if you break NC to send her a preemptive text, she will see that as a weakness, and keep trying to boundary stomp to make you keep sending those texts in hopes that she can get in a response jab of gaslighting until she wiggles back in again. Meanwhile, being bounced from a 1-year-old birthday party without so much as a glance from you sends a pretty firm message. That's kinda where I am, thank you for the input. This is exactly what I was going to say. OP, if you break no contact because of something your mom is trying to do, she's going to see that as a way in, and she'll keep doing that behavior, to force you to contact her. Do not break NC. She's literally trying everything she can to get your attention, so you will break NC. Don't fall for trap. Tell anyone who mentions her that she will have the police called on her if she shows up, and don't make it a joke. Let them know the gravity so they can report back to your NC mom if they choose to talk to her. Yep. Bad behavior to get attention. If she shows up, she is escorted out. If you break no contact for this, she will know how to trigger you. You can tell sis your plan is to have her physically removed. If she wants to share the plan with mom, that's up to her. You might want to reach out to law enforcement and ask them how they prefer you handle it, and possibly use this event as a way to get a restraining order, but do not break no contact for any reason. Don't open the door and call the cops to lovingly remove her from your property. Lovingly remove her from your property. Okay, lost it. rslash. Shoot, if it's within your budget, hire an off-duty police officer and provide a photo of the JN. Personally, because I'm petty, I'd make it look like a mug shot. There are cops in attendance too, as you've suggested. Lovingly remove her. Don't break no contact. Let other people know your plan if she shows up, and it'll most likely get back to her. Stay strong in the no contact and don't break it for anything. With sis agreement, if sister is talking to her, then send that message through her. I told OP you were going to show up, and she said that she will forcibly evict you from the party and has no problems embarrassing you in front of the guests if you do show up. Well, I would not do so. I think that is not fair to sis to have her do this. Don't know what would be best, but not this. I wouldn't contact her, I'd remain silent. She might be testing your resolve. She's obviously testing y'all's patience. Sometimes the hardest thing to do is nothing. FMIL went from 0 to 1,000 out of the blue. Welp, never thought I would be posting here. My so and I are recently engaged, dating for nearly 5 years. Over that time, we've talked about our future, including things like children, last names, where we will live, etc. I always wanted to adopt if I had kids and let him know early on. In his country, adopting is seen as a shameful thing, and that without a blood tie you can never be family. Since my so was mostly raised in the US, he thankfully didn't have these prejudices but had never considered it before. We discussed our concerns and worries, have reached out to friends and family with similar experiences, and he decided he would be happy to adopt over time. We've had pretty open communication and relationships with both sets of parents, so when he mentioned we were considering adoption, his parents expressed concerns based on the sentiments described above. While they are pretty liberal, they do live back home, and the opposition wasn't unexpected, though thankfully, civil. The last time the issue was raised to my knowledge was over 7 months ago. At least until about 20 minutes ago, when my so video called with a WTF expression. At 7 a.m. his time, they were chatting at breakfast, and out of the blue my FMIL says that they would never consider an adopted child their grandkids, wouldn't treat them as such, and it would be better for us to have no kids at all and for him to take my last name, the hill she was previously willing to die on. My poor so spent 45 minutes trying to explain to me what happened, but he is dumbfounded by this out-of-character behavior from his mom. On a personal level, I don't get it. We will be on separate continents from our in-laws for most of our marriage. They'd be seeing these hypothetical children once or twice a year at most. Their existing grandchild is on another continent, and they see him once a year for a longer summer period, though even then it's only a couple of times a week. WTF does the energy come from to hate a hypothetical child that much when you literally won't be involved in the day-to-day? On a practical level, I don't get it. How do you randomly bring this up at 7 a.m. on a Saturday apropos of nothing? Thankfully so and I already have loads of therapy under our belts, and he is currently building his shiny spine. I can see how hurt he is by his mom's reaction, but at least he isn't letting it change our family plans, which would have happened pre-therapy. I don't know how hard it will be for him to keep saying no to his mom, as that is who he is closest to in the family, so perhaps we'll see our counselor again soon. We have lots of strategies for FIL, and none for her. Guess I am posting to find out how other handled the realization that a previously warm relationship with your MIL has hit a schism. I feel really sad that this will drive a wedge between us, because we are going to adopt, and I will go and see if she doesn't turn it around by the time the kid does exist. If you also plan to have bio kids, I'd be very wary of letting her into your lives. She doesn't get to apologize years later, so she can have access to bio kid. This is such an awful attitude. Yeah. We've been on the fence about whether to adopt first or not. I think this just gave us the answer. One of my kids is adopted. Anyone who doesn't want to accept him the same as my bio kid is out of our lives. That's it, full stop. I had a friend that was worried certain members of their family wouldn't accept it if they adopted children of a different race. I asked if they were sure those family members were people they wanted around any potential kids in the first place. They eventually adopted a sibling group, and cut the family members out. It's time to decide where your priorities lie. I'm adopted and this kinda hurt my feelings for your future hypothetical kids, uneasy face. My mom actually adopted me and my brother together. She's never allowed anyone to treat us differently from her biological children, and I've literally heard her rip someone apart for trying to make that distinction. Your in-laws kinda suck for thinking blood is the only thing that can make you family. But I hope their ignorance doesn't deter you guys from considering adopting. I have a deep appreciation for my mom's sacrifices, and despite not being her biological child, I think I'm the favorite. LOL, you can definitely have an amazing bond via adoption and your in-laws will just have to miss out. So you're at a dinner party. You're a vegetarian. Your hosts are not. Scenario 1, they recognize your dietary needs and make sure there are plenty of non-meats on the menu. Scenario 2, they forgot you're a vegetarian and there aren't a lot of non-meat options. Scenario 3, there is nothing without a meat product in it. Scenario 4, not only does everything contain meat, hosts also deliver a long, loud diatribe about why people who don't eat meat are awful, stupid people. In each scene you have said zero about your dietary needs. You are just there. The topic is different, adoption instead of what you eat. Yet the impact on their lives is the same, the impact is only what they make it. I pity them for actively choosing to reject a hypothetical child that they could just as easily choose to love. Just keep them irrelevant to your lives. Here I sit, an internet stranger nearly stunned into silence. I think way too many people on this specific subreddit feel way too free to apply what may be cultural standards in the USA to other cultures, so I'm trying not to do that. I'm not going to give you advice about how to deal with any relationship between future children and your in-laws. That's not what you asked us to address, even though you'll get plenty of advice on that issue. You asked us to address ideas for dealing with the fact that the bottom has fallen out of a previously warm relationship with your FMIL. Yes, you understood that your future in-laws had views about adoption. But what sparked this declaration that FMIL made to your so? Had FMIL/FFIL secretly hoped that your relationship wouldn't last? That their son would find a good girl from home? Has your recent engagement made things real all of a sudden? I think this is worth a conversation or 2 or 3 with your fiancé, and then conversations between the 2 of you and his parents. I think it's also worth it for you and fiancé calmly telling his parents that you will respect their opinions/views, but you find this red line about adopted children unacceptable. That it will mean the end of your son's relationship with them. This shouldn't be a screaming match, just advising them of the consequences of their decision. Ask him if he would like to take your last name. That way, neither adopted or bio children could be associated with her. The funny thing is, he was the one who proposed taking my last name. And in their country, wives keep their last name, she doesn't even have his name. He offered so our kids would have the same last name as both of us. And when he mentioned the idea to them before he even floated it to me, she lost her ever-loving mind then. He was honestly stunned with her response, given that. Thank you for your input, but we will proceed as we see fit. Considering the entire lack of relationship and interaction the ILs would have with this hypothetical child, what on earth would make them think that their opinion was wanted, or even relevant? I'm actually stunned at the amount of entitlement they've shown towards your life choices as a couple. Keep it civil, but show them decisively how little influence they have/will have in your lives. Which is to say, zero-ish. Thanks for the advice. Stunned but not surprised pretty much sums it up. So is inheriting the family business, so I expected strings to pop up eventually, just didn't see it coming from her and about this. You are right. Just because he and I try to make our parents happy doesn't mean we have to do so. Info diet going forward for sure. MIL never sees any of your children until she can sincerely and genuinely say, I was absolutely wrong in saying that I won't consider your children, regardless of how they came to be your children, to be my grandchildren. I am so thankful you two have children and I welcome them with open arms. Yeah, it would pretty much take that for me to consider it. I had a dream last night where So and I decided that we would tell her that all kids are adopted and hide any pregnancies I have. Which now that I am awake and pretty much off social media, seems potentially doable. As a woman who was raised in a different continent from her family, you do not need to worry at all about your Mil's feelings. I saw my grandparents, aunts and uncles every 3 summers. I was suggested to talk to family on the phone once a week to say hi. I was protected from every family drama that exists by my parents. Until I became 18 years old and found out pretty disgusting information from my father's side, especially how my aunts threatened my mother over the years and how my grandma, her Mil, didn't do squat to have a relationship with her, yet every 3 summers my mom would give them gifts and money when we would go visit. Then when I got married here, my father's side of the family never called to congratulate me or wrote anything on social media. Same when I got pregnant twice. When I went to my home country to visit, they never came, I had to go to their house, and I wasn't able to see 2 of my aunts. I suspect my father's side of the family do not really like me even though I am blood related. So what I am saying is that family drama will happen, blood or not. So you do not have to worry one bit about what they think. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.